please rise for the entrance of the minister? You may be seated. We'll now have Zazen.
We're going to have Zen meditation for 1 minute. Please put your hands together in Gasho and bow. Thank you very much.
We'll now have Sampai. That's 3 vowels to Buddha. If we can all now please rise and we will have Vandana Tisarana. For those at home watching, you can turn to page 17 in your green book.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa.
Thank you. You may be seated. We will now chant the Heart of Great Perfect Wisdom Sutra. For those at home, it's on page 33. At this time, we will also have offering of incense for the audience members. We can start on that side, and after you offer incense, come around this way. Thank you.
Heart of Great Perfect Wisdom Sutra.
Bring
Christ of Buddha way. Oh, Buddha, through all space and time, all honored ones, bodhisattvas, mahasattvas, wisdom beyond wisdom, Mahaprajna Paramita.
We will now recite the golden chain. For those at home, it's on page 251. I am a link in Lord Buddha's golden chain of love.
that stretches around the world. I must keep my faith bright and strong. I will try to be kind and gentle to every living thing, and protect all who are weaker than myself. I will try to think pure and beautiful thoughts, to say pure and beautiful words, and to do pure and beautiful deeds, knowing that what I do now affects my life and the lives of others. May everything in Lord Buddha's holy chain of love become bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace.
We will now recite the pledge, located on the next page, 252, for those at home.
To the Buddha, who promised to be present in his teaching, we pledge our loyalty and devotion. We dedicate our thoughts, words, and deeds to his service and to the way of life he laid down for us. We resolve to follow his example and to have reverence for our religion, respect for our parents and teachers, and love for all forms of life.
We will now have our first dafa, When We See the Golden Sun. For those at home, it's on page 173. For those here, if we can please rise. And Sensei will accompany us with the ukulele. We will now have our Dharma message given by Deacon Juho Kirkpatrick.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you all for coming today. The last time I talked about how we think about things and how they affect our life, and how we think about stress, how we can make our stress easier or worse what we think. And I started with a saying from the Dhammapada. Today I want to start with a saying from our Green Book from the Eightfold Path. It says, we will be aware of our thoughts because our words and our actions arise from our thoughts. This is very important because our words and our actions are karma. We do good things and we receive good things. We do things that are not good and then things are not good. So how we think about things is extremely important. So today I would like to talk a little about anger. Anger is the same like stress. We can make anger by how we think. And if we change it, it'll change. My teacher used to give an example about with a glass of water with sand in it. He'd stir it up and then the glass of water would get all opaque and you couldn't see through it. He said our mind is like that. If we are agitated, we can't think clearly. But if our mind is calm and quiet, then we can think more clearly and we can make better decisions. And we all have made mistakes when we were angry, said something we wish we haven't said. Especially all of us older people. We've done that before. So we have to know that anger is not a good condition. Because we make mistakes and our life is not very good, but we make a lot of mistakes. So we don't want to get angry. So that's a major thing we should know, that anger is not a good condition. I know 2 ways that we can conquer anger. One way is to pay attention to our bodies, how we feel. Because before our heart starts beating fast and our face gets red and anger takes over, anger starts at a small place and rises. And if we are mindful of our bodies and we pay attention, we can stop anger from arising. As soon as you feel the first twinges of anger, you can stop anger. Maybe take a little practice, but you can do it. Just being mindful. The second way of conquering anger is to change how we think. I will give an example. When I was living at the meditation center in Los Angeles, I had to drive back and forth to work on a freeway. And one day I got angry on the freeway. So that evening, during meditation, I asked myself why I got angry. And I said, well, this guy pulled in my lane in front of me and I had to jam on my brakes to avoid an accident. So my meditation mind told me, well, in the first place, this is not your lane. This is a public street. Anybody can be on there. In the second place, this person is just a bad driver. You cannot get angry because people are bad drivers. So as soon as I understood that, they're not going to get angry on the freeway anymore. I just think of people as being a bad driver. So I changed my idea, and then anger doesn't arise in the first place. So that's an example of how if we change our idea about what makes us angry, then the anger won't arise in the first place. That's the second way to conquer anger. And I want to tell a story about my teacher. When I was living at the meditation center, we had 6 houses. One house was a temple, one house was a big quadruplex, it was our College of Oriental Studies. And we had 4 dormitory houses where all the students stayed. And one day I was in the kitchen of the house that I lived in, and there was a driveway next to the kitchen, and there were those kitchen windows. And the driveway went to a little converted garage where lived our janitor, our handyman. And his name was Harry. And that day, I was listening, and Harry and my teacher were walking up the driveway. And Harry was yelling at my teacher. And Harry was a big holiday guy. My teacher was just this ordinary little, he had an amazing man. So he towered over him, and he was telling him he didn't make enough money, and he was working him too hard, and he was using bad language. And so, as I walked up the driveway, I went into the living room to watch, and Harry went across the street. And my teacher started turning back towards the houses. So I went out. And I wanted to cheer him up after taking all this verbal abuse. But I walked up to him and I looked at him, and his face was so calm and quiet, and he gave me all of his attention. And I realized that all of those things that Harry said to him didn't affect him at all. He was still the same quiet, calm person that he always was. So we have to think about different ways of thinking. And so one of the things I learned going through the class, and we talked about it a little bit, about when somebody gets in your face and gives you talks bad to you, and how you can control yourself. So he said that he thinks of the person as a sick person, because nobody does that unless something's wrong with them. Whoever is yelling at you and screaming at you and calling your names, there's something wrong with that person. So he's a sick person. So he can't get angry because he was a sick person. So that was his way of dealing with that type of anger. So hopefully, in our lives, we can find a little less anger. And so anyhow, those are the two ways that if we practice, we can help ourselves. And then it's better for us and better for others, and it's better for everyone. We don't get angry. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deacon Juho. We will now have Shomyo and then some eyes. If you could please rise.